Okay, so we're looking at some more algebra involving fractions. This is our second video where algebra, we've got some fractions to deal with. The previous video, you'll remember, it looked something like this. We learnt that this can be dealt with in exactly the same way that this can be dealt with. And we also learnt about this one here, which is a very, very similar two-step equation to this, but with a divide by instead of a multiply by. This one's going to look a little different. Algebra involving fractions part 2. Let's look at an example question. So here's our example. X plus 1 divided by 3 minus 5 equals 2. Now here we essentially have three terms. This term here, which is our x term, it's really complicated though, x plus 1 and divided by 3. We've got this term, which is a constant term, minus 5, and we've got this one here too. Now again, this is going to be very, very similar to this question here. The first step is to get the x term by itself. So here's our x term, and we need to get that by itself. And we do that by moving this negative 5. So we've got x plus 1 divided by 3 equals 2. Now that negative 5 moves over and becomes positive 5. So now we have x plus 1 divided by 3. Okay, so x plus 1 divided by 3 equals 7. Now this is a part where people get a little bit confused. It's tempting here to take this plus 1 and move it over there. The problem is that this thing, now if you don't remember, that thing is called a vinculum. The problem is that this vinculum acts as a kind of glue that keeps that x plus 1 together. So it says x plus 1 divided by 3. We can't separate the x and the 1 until we've gotten rid of our divide by 3. So the next step here is to get rid of divide by 3. So it's going to be x plus 1 divided by 3. Now we all know that the way to get rid of a divide by is to use a multiply by. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 here. Now when I multiply this side by 3, the 3's will cancel out and we'll have a nice easy x plus 1 over here. And when I multiply this side by 3, I get 7 times 3, which is 21. Now finally, this is something you've seen before. X plus 1 equals 21. We need to get x by itself, so we move that plus 1 over there. Becomes negative 1. So in this equation, x equals 20. Okay, so probably a slightly new concept here, but one that you're certainly going to need when you're doing these algebra questions.